Let me tell you, we have a lot of happy Texas Tech fans out here, and that is because we are headed into overtime. Permian Basin natives, it is the battle right in your backyard. Tonight, Odessa High and Permian will battle it out to see who gets the town bragging rights in this crosstown rivalry game. As you can probably tell from those highlights, the Lady Thunderbirds went on a nice little run there in the second quarter. Ratliff Stadium here behind me is home to the UTPB football team, but right now it's also a hot spot to get a COVID-19 vaccine, which is why the football program has made the decision to move all of its home games from Odessa to Midland. There's this saying that it's tough to beat the same team 3 times, and Odessa College certainly saw that tonight. Coach, crosstown rivalry wins are always fun, but this was also another district win added to your record. So what kind of impact does that have going into the second half of district play? Well, it's not very often we get to announce the first day of practice in January instead of late summer, but then again, it's not very often UTPB starts its season in the spring. Well, if you're looking for an opportunity to throw things onto a basketball court without getting in trouble, Saturday may be your lucky day. Today, Odessa College moved one step closer to its final goal of the season, a national championship. Well, happy Football Friday, everyone. Our game of the week has brought me out to Wink, Texas. The Wildcats have their second district matchup of the year tonight against Van Horn, and I'm joined by Wink head coach Brian Gibson. We often talk about how the pandemic has affected teams and players this past year, but what about the people who make sure the rules are being followed? And in an area like the Permian Basin where sports are a way of life, here's how officials have been impacted by the virus.
We were right in the middle of baseball season when the wheels came off, so to speak.
Last March marked the beginning of the end for sports.
Well, the coronavirus COVID-19 sports shutdown continues.
Like many conferences, the American Southwest Conference decided to cancel the rest of the season for spring sports.
Well, the International Olympic Committee officially made the decision to postpone the 2020 Tokyo Games this morning.
Nearly every league and sport across the country has been either suspended or canceled in an attempt to limit the spread of the virus. Players and coaches weren't the only ones impacted, but also referees and umpires.
We got the 1-2 punch out here, right? And so we saw double-digit unemployment when our area was leading the nation in the lowest unemployment for a long time.
Dal Watson is the West Texas chapter president for the Texas Association of Sports Officials. He says that last year many of his referees' incomes took 2 hits last spring. One when the oil economy collapsed, and another when the pandemic canceled games.
We had members who lost their job, or they were furloughed, or that sort of thing.
Personally, for me, in March, the company that I was with, we weren't going to make it.
Watson says he knew a number of referees and umpires who turned to Little League games to try and make ends meet.
They might have been doing literally 5 or 6 games in a day of the smaller level of football to supplement their income, and they were doing that every single weekend. And physically, that's a challenge.
As a matter of fact, the Permian Basin chapter led the state in official growth, which was more than helpful as sports began to start up again and football season here in West Texas swung into action. While football season flourished for West Texas officials, basketball season has presented its own set of issues. Watson says many referees have decided to sit out this season.
This time last year, we probably had right at 130 basketball officials, and we had a lot of officials just say, for having underlying conditions and that sort of thing, say, I can't do it this year.
Smith says the chapter has 98 referees signed up for basketball season. But some weeks, only 60 or so of them are available because of the virus or contact tracing. The shortage has forced the association to make some adjustments, sometimes cutting 3-man teams to just 2 referees per game.
That was the biggest challenge for our chapter, just having to cover so many schools in the Permian. So breaking up our 3-man crews just to cover games was very difficult and very challenging.
While numbers may be down this basketball season, the league is still doing its best to create a safe environment for those still officiating. For example, referees are required to wear their masks upon entering the court, and balls are sanitized and swapped out during timeouts and between quarters. But as COVID-19 cases decrease and schools begin their spring sports seasons, referees and umpires are hopeful for the rest of 2021 and the athletic seasons in the future.
I'm really proud of all the officials It was a challenging year for all of us.
As you can imagine, Watson says the organization is always looking for more referees and umpires. So if you're interested, you can find more information on yourbasin.com. We were tied at 22 going into the second half, and this game is still a nail-biter. Well, something a lot of people might not be able to do is switch sides and join forces with their former rivals, but Odessa High head coach Danny Cervantz has done just that. Well then, if I was on College game day, I would have had to pick this helmet up before the game to put it on, to pick the Odessa High Broncos taking down Friendship. Broncos got their first district win of the year. Hey everyone, I'm down south here at Sul Ross State University in Alpine for Permian's big regional quarterfinal matchup. Now there's a lot of familiarity here for the Panthers, so let's break down what this game is going to look like. Your opponent, Monahans, raised more than $800 for the families of Medina and Aguilar, which is super neat. They wore purple to the game tonight. What did you think about not only your community support, but their support as well? And now the basketball season is over. Texas Tech fans can turn their attention to another solid Red Raider team out of Lubbock. The number 11 Texas Tech baseball team is here in Midland for a matchup against New Mexico State tonight. Texas Tech won game 1 of its super regional on Friday. Then Oklahoma State turned around and won game 2 yesterday. So that means today we had a winner-take-all matchup with the winner going to the College World Series and the loser going home. They will be playing for their season tonight. Now, I don't know if you can see, but Permian is playing behind me right now, and if you can see that scoreboard, they lead 39-23 in the third quarter. Some of the fittest people in the world will get together in Madison, Wisconsin next month for this year's CrossFit Games. Midland's own Joel Hughes will represent the Tall City and the rest of West Texas in the games this year. So, of course, a lot of preparation and hard work goes into being one of the fittest people in the world.
What CrossFitters will usually tell you is that it's terrible, but they come back the next day because they love it.
While many of us are just waking up or drinking our morning coffee, Joel Hughes is probably sprinting, doing box jumps, or burpees.
I like a lot of stuff. Handstand push-ups, handstand walk, bar muscle-ups.
And it's a good thing he enjoys them, because Hughes will be competing at this year's International CrossFit Games as one of the fittest people on the planet.
The Open started with about 17,000 people in my division. Went to 200 people in the online qualifier, and then after the online qualifier, the top 10 from there go to Madison, Wisconsin to what's called the CrossFit Games. I was extremely surprised. I still am. I can't believe it.
What's hard to believe is that just 5 years ago, Hughes rarely even worked out.
I was extremely out of shape, and I was over 200 pounds, and wanted to do something. I'd always tried to go to the gym myself and never stuck to it.
So a friend convinced him to do CrossFit.
I can remember him coming in from workout, and I would pass him and he'd be passed out on the couch in the living room, white as a sheet, would not talk to anyone. We'd be like, how was it? He'd be like,
Told myself I would start and do it for a month straight and not quit. And if I didn't like it, I would stop. And if I liked it, I'd keep going. And I just loved it.
And that passion has rubbed off on his youngest daughter, Lexi, who now also does CrossFit.
It's a bit unconventional, but it's like father-daughter bonding for us. This is how we grow our relationship. If we work out together, he'll finish 10 minutes before I do. But I always know that he's going to finish, and then he'll come back and cheer me on to the finish.
What's up, you? An inspiration to his daughter and many others who work out with him.
I just love the fact that as he gets older, he just continues to improve. And the thing that I like most about him is that he's just so humble in it that, again, he'll finish that workout and he might finish in front of you, but you know he's going to turn around and cheer you on. And to me, that's the biggest thing, is that not only is he an inspiration out there leading in front, but he's so quick to turn around and help out the person behind him as well.
Hughes will be competing in the 45 to 49 age group. The 2019 CrossFit Games start on August 1st.